Disclaimer, all builds in this video were submitted to the ZuggyJ Central Discord server. The builds were then voted on by the over 900 members of the server. Moral of the story, join the server, link in the description.
Well, first of all, welcome to the top 10 builds of 2024. We're starting off with Storm 4's WallE. It is 9,000 blocks. It took him months to make. And there's a few really cool things about it, such as the fact that it can actually move on treads for a build of its size. I think that's pretty impressive because you're putting a lot of weight on those motors, but he's found a way to make it work. Everything is pretty much articulated. The arms can move, the head can move, the solar panels can pop up, and then the battery actually has some cool charging effects to it, which I think is just a really nice touch. I think some of the reasons why it's not as high on the list is it's maybe lacking some of the micro details that people would like to see, and it is a bit boxy, but WallE is also a literal box. Overall, great build. Really happy to have it in the top 10. Coming in at number 9 is one of my favorite builds in the entire competition. It's a Raker by Orbital. It's from the game War Robots, and it is 13,000 blocks. Took him 2 months to build, and when it's walking, it has a top speed of 122 studs per second. I love that he submitted that detail, because the build can actually move. As goofy as it looks, it has a walking animation, working turrets, working sounds, working particles. Overall, the entire thing is very, very detailed, and it seems like he put a lot of love and effort into it, and he's working on getting a full interior built into it. I think one of the reasons why it didn't get higher up on the list is because the photos that were originally submitted didn't do it justice. But overall, I would have had it higher on the list, but it's a great build, and happy to have it in the top 10 for this year. Coming in at number 8 is the KV-2 from 1940 by Zapman. It is 7,000 blocks, and it's almost row scale, and for the size, the detail on it is pretty impeccable. I think some of the detractors from the build are that it's a model. You know, it is not creative, it's not something he originally created, but overall, I mean, you can't take that away from him. I mean, he made something he wanted to make, he made it look good, the movement does look a little bit janky, but I'm happy to have it on the list. Now it's time for a special announcement from the Roblox Battlebot Championship series. The Roblox Battlebot Championship Series is one of the premier tournaments in all of Roblox. It's been viewed by over 65,000 people in the years we've done it. And if you want to be the next champion, well, you got to go down to the Discord and join today. Coming in at number 7, it's the Mothra, built by Parasite Queen. It is very big, it is very wide, it is 12,000 blocks, and it covers a bunch of plots. So those wings do fold out, and they flap, they articulate, the head moves around, and the build flies and looks natural doing so. It's a really beautiful build, the colors are spectacular on it. I love the use of the neon block so it can function at night, and it takes some creative liberties on what a Mothra is supposed to look like. The only downsides to it are there's a few gaps in the wings that I think could easily be fixed, and it's blocky in some parts. But overall, it's a very beautiful build, and I am so happy that he decided to submit it for the best builds of 2024. Coming in at number 6, it's the Volvo EC950F Excavator by Claudio. Now this build may look a little laggy when it tries to move on our screen, but on his, it works perfectly fine. We've seen it. It's 5,000 blocks, and the cool thing about Claudio is he works with these IRL, so he has some real-life references to work with. But I feel like the videos we got really didn't do it justice. It's super detailed, it can do all the things an excavator can do, and it seems like he really did put a lot of love into it. Now, my only thing that I say about it, the back end could be more round to match the real model, but that's grasping at straws. It's a really cool build, and even though it's small, I think it definitely deserved to be this high on the list. We're now into our top 5, and at number 5, it's the HMS Branic. And now let me ask you a question, guys. Have you ever seen a build that takes 7 accounts to function? I hadn't until this one. This one takes 7 separate Roblox accounts and 25,000 blocks to exist in the world of Plane Crazy. It has working propellers, and it is apparently, according to the builder, row scale. That is absolutely insane, and of course, when you build something that big and it has the level of detail that it currently has, it deserves to be on the list. Congratulations to the Dan. Well, it's now time for us to get into our top 4 builds, and our first build of the top 4 is Arya Coyu, which I know I mispronounced, but I don't speak Japanese. 2,000 compressors were used on this thing. Every joint, so the elbow, the knee, the ankle, everything about it. It is controllable by the driver, and it is just an incredible build. You know, the eyebrows and hair have physics. Everything has been accounted for, and it can do any type of pose you want it to do. It can walk, it can move around. And of course, the gooners of my server had to put it in the top 5. I have nothing to complain about on this thing. I don't even know how to make any of this stuff work. So it is just an incredibly impressive build, and shout out to Fat Cat Kashino. His YouTube channel is in the description. Well, make it back-to-back years that Shark King has made the list this year with his 15,000 block Godzilla. It's 400 studs tall. It's not even finished yet, but it already looks pretty darn cool. It's apparently the largest Godzilla in the game. It's able to walk and stand in the deepest part of the ocean and still tower over the land, and he plans to add atomic breath in the future. Now, since this build was rushed, there are quite a bit of gaps between the limbs. I'd like to see that figured out in the future, but overall, the size of it, popularity of Shark King, and the scale of a build like this has to make it into the top 10, and it made it into the top 3. Coming in at number 2, we have some controversy, but we also have an incredible build. This is Optimus Prime by Egg Dude. It's 4,000 blocks of pure coolness. It transforms, it drives, and the upper body moves once it's transformed. Overall, just great build. Great level of detail. Probably one of the coolest Transformers I've ever seen in the game, which of course it should be when it's number 2 on the 2024 Build of the Year list. I just love this thing. I love that you found a way to make a build not only look cool as a truck, but then it also transforms and it looks incredibly cool as a mech. And you don't get to see that a lot in Plane Crazy, and it definitely deserves its flowers here at number 2. Here are some of the things that bother me though. The legs do not move yet. He says he's going to be working on that. He just had some complications doing that to this point. And the wheels don't turn whenever it's driving. But overall, great build. Happy to have it at number 2. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce you to the build of the year. The animatic that you just saw, the full video, which is 5 minutes long, is on Zen's YouTube channel, which is linked in the description. But the build you're seeing is the Halo Infinity ship. 17,000 expertly placed blocks with, some people like to say sign spamming. I like to call it good detail because it just looks like it came from a model and you imported it into Plane Crazy. The size of it, the scale of it, the fact that it functions, and the overall detail, man, it just has to be number 1. And it almost got Hall of Fame in PCC, but the PCC is the PCC. I don't really think I need to say anything else about that. And it just, the details, the animatics, the effort that was put into this, it deserves this moment in the spotlight. And I am very proud to announce that Zen has won this year's Build of the Year contest.
ZuggyJ. ZuggyJ.